My story could take 2 or 3 hours, but I promise you it won't be that long. So, first of all, I am not a cradle Catholic. I grew up in a family. My mother was Catholic, my father was anti-Catholic. So that was a bit of a challenge along the way. I participated in various non-Catholic churches, Baptist, Methodist, evangelical, and I was attracted to that. I found much support, good friendship, and so on. I have an older sister who was 12 years older than me, who was a nun, and my father was very much against that. When he entered the monastery, we moved away to Illinois, O'Fallon, Illinois. So those were challenging times. Anyway, I continued, as I said, in my own way. I continued to embrace religion. Throughout the years, I had many Catholic friends, and I was at that time I started attending the Catholic Church and religion with my friends. My father didn't really know that too much, so he was hoping beyond all doubt that I would not become a nun. Of all things, one was bad enough. That's kind of his attitude. Anyway, I continued to going through college, and I met some sisters there. At my first year of teaching, I worked with sisters, and I was exposed to them. They were the most wonderful group of sisters I've ever met. And I learned a lot about teaching, but I learned about their lifestyle, and I was really, really attracted by it. But I knew that I was thinking all the time that my dad, he would not be able to accept another sister. My sister was always there, though, actually. She wanted me to be a nun, and I said, no, I'll never be a nun. I don't want to be one. Please don't push that down my throat. And I felt like she was sometimes, but I changed. And I was dating a gentleman from Lagodi, Indiana. That's where I was born, and I grew up in O'Fallon, just to reiterate. Anyway, as the story goes, I went on to learn more about the Catholic religion and the monastery, and my sister brought me here to the monastery and introduced me to the superior, our prioress. And she asked me if I ever thought about being a nun. I said, no. No, I'm not interested. I just came here to visit you, and here I am. Well, I went back home, and I thought about it a little bit more, and I struggled with it, and I just wasn't sure what I would need to do. But I did finally say, I think I'm kind of serious about that. So I went ahead and I became a postulant. And whatever that meant, I didn't know what it meant. But that's when I learned about religious life a little bit. My father was very angry at me when I entered this monastery. However, he changed. There was a major crisis in my life when I was a postulant. One of my brothers took his life. And I think from there on, my dad made some major changes, and his beliefs were, Brenda, I'll be with you and I'll support you. So anyway, I entered the monastery. Difficult times back then. Lots of people were leaving. That was hard. But for some reason, I always felt I belonged there, and I was going to stay there and be the best that I could be. I wanted to be a teacher, and I was. I was successful. I was a teacher, a principal, pastoral associate, musician, everything. Throughout my life, I have done many things, and most recently, one of the biggest changes I made in my life was to become the director of the Oblates. And whenever I was asked to become an oblate director, I said, what does that mean? What do they do? Actually, I did know a little bit about it, but I started that path and I became the oblate director, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. They inspire me. I always tell them, they inspire me. I inspire them, but they inspire me. And each day, when I pray with them, they pray with me. I get messages all the time encouraging me. Different kinds of things that have happened in my life. As I have said, it'll probably take a day to share everything. But I feel that I'm in a good place today. I celebrated my 50th anniversary 3 years ago, and I'm happy to be here and supported by these wonderful sisters. And I will continue to support them, and I will continue to do all I can to help other young people, older people, look at religious life, because it is a really good option nowadays. Life is challenging everywhere, but I invite you to come and see, come and look at this way of life.